I'm a great admirer of films that are based on character, and what Tracy captured were these wonderful roles about people that I recognized. I'm from the Plains in Colorado, outside of Denver, and I recognized these people, and I thought other people would recognize these people and be moved by it in the same way that I'd been moved by it. Because I think that families and the way that families interact, while there are specifics about it that are American, the basic dynamics are how we all live together and the frustrations that we have and the joy that we have and the way that even when you're unhappy with your family, you're connected to them in some way. And so there's a lot of laughter in the piece, and I think one of the things that really attracted me to it was that it was flat out funny. Uh, Even in its darkest moments, it's funny. In the way in which we deal with as families and as people, we deal with difficulties in our lives not by pulling out handkerchiefs and crying, and although that sometimes happens, it's about how we laugh. It's about the jokes we make. It's about the way that we try to reinforce that we're happy to be alive. It's the way we cope. It was one of the simplest casting processes, not a quick one, but a simplest one in the sense that people really wanted to be in it, and so all these wonderful actors kind of came through the door. And when I met with Meryl a couple of times, she had seen the play and was very interested in it. We talked about the part and how it should work and what her concerns were, and all the pitfalls of doing it, and with Julia about the same things, and then we went through a process of starting to meet a lot of other actors. And I had worked with Chris Cooper before and really was anxious for him to play Charlie, and delighted when he agreed to, and knew Margot's work and Ewan's, of course, and Dermot, who used to live across the street from me, and Julianne Nicholson, who I've worked with before. Juliette Lewis worked with my brother, was for many years a line producer. In fact, as a child, and my mother was a studio teacher for my brother and was actually her studio teacher when she was 15 years old. This is the way it goes. You get all of these wonderful actors who are interested in the material, and we just couldn't believe our good fortune. As every new person became involved with the piece, I kind of kept pinching myself. Abby Breslin, who's just wonderful, and is as someone that I thought of as a 10-year-old, and so when she walked through the door as a 15-year-old to audition for the part, she was just perfect. I didn't really know Benedict's work other than I kind of had seen him a little bit on the BBC show that he did, and he sent us what I think he did his audition on an iPhone, as far as I could tell, like in his apartment. There was sort of a refrigerator behind it, his flat in London somewhere. But it was, the second we saw it, it was just, it was beautiful and very moving and funny, and so we cast him kind of without meeting him, just literally off his little iPhone audition that he sent us. We One of the centerpieces of the screenplay is a 19-page dinner scene, which takes place around one table with 10 people, all the family members around. And I think we were all very apprehensive about doing it, just because we were going to be there for a long time looking at the same chicken. But because it was very well rehearsed, and it became really sort of a play as we were doing it. Because we're in a practical location, and there's not that sense of a stage around you. People actually began to sort of sit and just have dinner, and it got a familial rhythm of people who had known each other and had lots of history, of things that they were angry about, of things they were happy about, of shared memories, of reminiscences, and then all of the stuff comes up. And again, for all of us doing it, there was that sense of, I have been at this dinner before. It's not this exact dinner, but I've been at this dinner. That sort of attempt to celebrate someone's life after they've passed, that turns into kind of something completely different than what you thought it was going to be when it began. We actually purchased the house from the owners who had it on the market, and have been in here, shooting in it now for almost 3 months. And it's been a great experience, I think, for everybody, because you feel very much that the house has become part of the family. People really have lived in it. And so one of the things we did during the rehearsal process is the actors went and stayed and spent a lot of time in their childhood rooms, and the adults went into their spaces and lived in those spaces, and people ate in the dining room, and it gives everyone sort of a sense of what all of the surroundings are, like what's theirs and what's not, and I think it makes a huge difference and one that's not easy to identify, but it makes this a huge difference to the way in which people interact with their surroundings in a film. Well, one of the great advantages to shooting on location, and it's difficult because everyone is away from their families and their homes, but what it does do is particularly if people are playing a family, is that they become a family because they eat together and they spend a lot of time together, they go to movies together, and they find things to do together. And so there's something that is built through being on location, just like, any time that you're away. And I think that really contributes to that sense of it. And then to be within the community, to meet the people in Osage County, to spend time around them, to eat in the restaurants, to talk to people, have a lot of people in the crew who are also from here. You start to come to understand like who the people are. It was wonderful working with Sam. His part is integral but is not the largest part, but it's a big chunk of the beginning of the film. And he was here for about 5 days and was just wonderful. And I produced a lot of plays when I was in college and produced a whole bunch of his plays. And, the opportunity to meet him and talk to him and work with him as an actor was kind of a dream come true for me. Misty, who is, represents actually the whole world around here, which is Osage County, which is actually the Osage Nation and tribal lands, and she's been wonderful. I had really admired her work in Frozen River, which she did a few years ago, and she came in and auditioned, and is a Blackfoot, and is just, been such an integral part of everything we've been doing.